But the big story of the offseason obviously was Aaron Rodgers, his situation with the Packers, whatnot. He supposed to do that in a trade in April. That didn't go down. Obviously, he is now back with the Packers. He just had a press conference. I think it was yesterday. Very interesting press conference. I'm gonna play a clip of about a minute clip of this and see and get a reaction to this. Here's Aaron Rodgers yesterday returning to Packers camp.
Things that transpired. This wasn't a draft day thing. This was started with a conversation in February. That the season ended. I just expressed my desire to be more involved in conversations directly affecting my job. Also, I wanted to help the organization maybe learn from them some of the mistakes in the past, in my opinion, about the way that some of the outgoing veterans were treated. The fact that we didn't retain a number of players that I felt like were core players to our foundation, our locker room. And then it kind of progressed from there into a commitment for the 2021 season and beyond. That really wasn't given at any time. So for me, I had to assess the situation, not necessarily wanting to be a lame duck quarterback, especially after an MVP season, which I think you can understand. And then the other part in February was wanting to be a part of conversations involving free agents, which has never happened in my career. If you can't commit to me past 2021, and I'm not a part of recruiting process and free agency, if I'm not a part of the future, then instead of letting me be a lame duck quarterback, if you want to make a change and move forward, then go ahead and do it. That obviously didn't happen. I said it wasn't about the money, and the way that felt, kind of just doubled down on that. Nothing really changed throughout the summer. There were some developments in the last week or so, but I was really working on myself and my own mental state throughout the summer, and at various points deciding if I wanted to even keep playing. But the fire still burns, and I wanted to be on a football team, and we got some things figured out in the last few days, and I'm here.
Now, I get that Aaron Rodgers. First off, I admire the fact that Aaron Rodgers, a lot of people hate him as a person. Like he's very transparent. He says what he says. That's it. He's very open about that. And I mean, you got a little bit of a peel back on the curtain about how his offseason went and what he went, mulling retirement. Once more say so now decisions. I don't disagree with anything he said there. Honestly, I don't know how you feel about it. A lot of people have opinions about Rodgers and how he's handled the situation. He hasn't really said anything publicly until now. Like everything's has been say so. Like Adam Schefter's report's been based on other sources. The GM of the Packers has been saying things here and there. They want to keep him, this and that, and we know he doesn't have any leverage. We get the leverage, but I think he's handled it pretty decent for the most part. Honestly, he hasn't said anything really, honestly, and he's being transparent and when he needs to be. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to shock you.
Okay.
I 100% agree with everything you said.
Oh, God.
I know, it's mind-blowing. I 100% agree with everything you said. And there's a couple takeaways that I'm sure we're going to dive into a little bit more. But my number one takeaway is the media created this. All of the media created this, in my opinion. Nope. And I've had a really – go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that was still what else is new. The media, I mean.
Right. Oh, yeah. Everybody loves the media. I've had a really rocky relationship with my feelings towards Aaron Rodgers, like forever now. At first, when I was a little bit younger, Aaron Rodgers, like I loved him. He was great to have in fantasy football. He's a baller on the field, and he's just he's a cool he brings a swagger onto the field. He's just a cool dude to root for when you don't see like the press conferences and all that stuff. And then once I started hearing about just some backstories and stuff behind the curtains about him. I started not really being a big fan of his because, like you said, he's very transparent. He's very prickly with the media. He's not like a Tom Brady where he's fun and he's outgoing and stuff. He's more to himself, and he's all about like what he himself and just stuff like that towards me kind of rubbed me the wrong way with him. But after all of this stuff has gone on with him and hearing his press conference yesterday, it's actually made me like Team Aaron Rodgers because Basically, all the guy is asking for is just to say in personnel decisions. We saw that with Russ earlier this offseason, which you can delve further into. And
Yeah.
we saw that with Tom Brady. And look what look what the Buccaneers have accomplished with Tom Brady getting what he wants and making personnel or having a say in personnel decisions rather than making them. And look what happens. They're dominant.
No, I mean, I've been a big Rodgers guy from day one. I mean, to me, I've been saying, I'll say it again. Now, Pat Mahomes might change the conversation as he gets older and whatnot, but Aaron Rodgers to me is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play football. Period. There's not one flaw in his game. If you look at the flaw, it's probably the personality flaw, but that's not. You don't look at personality as tail of the tape when you look at a quarterback. You know, but again, you know, he has a point. It's the same reason why I agree also Russell Wilson back in February when he was talking about he was cornered by Dan Patrick in his interview about wanting to have more say so. I mean, we sit here and we all say that the quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. It is the glamour position in all of sports. So if that is the case, and we all acknowledge that is the case, shouldn't the quarterback do have say so? At least some. I'm not saying he has to be the be all end all, but if he's the guy, and if you want, for example, tweak your O line, for example, he should have at least some say so about. Well, try this guy. I don't know. I don't see why that's even an issue.
Well, like I said before, there's not. I mean, I got to listen to the entire press conference. It was half an hour's worth of him being on the presser. There's not one thing that he said that I disagreed with. There's not one thing. And the entire point he tries to make is that he says, I don't want to be the one to make personnel decisions. I'm not saying I want that. I just want to say. I just want them to kind of understand I can offer a perspective. I've been here 17 years. I've been starting for 13 of those years, or 14 of those years, excuse me. He said I can offer a different perspective and see what they have to say, or have them hear what I have to say, because I've been here a lot longer than most people have been, and I just want an offer, and I just wanted to say in personnel decisions. That's all I was asking for. And like you said, it's the most important position in all of sports. Nobody can disagree with that. And look what happens when a superstar quarterback has a say in personnel decisions. They win Super Bowls. Tom Brady, the greatest ever.
Thomas Edward Brady, the GOAT, by the way.
That's it. It's undisputed, man. We all know that.
Now, we've heard that this could be his last year. The way the agreement that came is that it could be his last year. It's actually a 2-year deal now instead of a 3-year deal, but it's set up where he can opt out, I think, after this year. Do you think it's his last year in Green Bay? Do you think this year they can rectify the situation?
I wholeheartedly believe this is his last year in Green Bay. I think maybe you can back me up on this. I think the way they restructured his contract is where this could be his last year, and then he could be a free agent afterwards. Is that
Right.
correct?
I think so. I think what it was, and this is just hearsay, what I've heard from other pundits, is that he had 3 years remaining in his contract, and they structured to where now it's 2 years, and that second year is pretty much an opt out. There's an opt out there. That's what I interpreted. So basically, it's 1 year, and then if he decides to stay another year, you can stay another year. But I guess the only thing that really can change, in my opinion, could change the scope of this relationship between the Packers and him is winning a title.
I 100% agree with you. Please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm not talking. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly think that this is his last year in Green Bay. I feel like he's given everything to that franchise, and granted, he's had a couple of hiccups in playoff performances, and the team has had a couple of hiccups in playoff performances, but I really think the front office, this is entirely the front office's fault, and I feel like they burned that bridge. I feel like the number one catalyst, whether Aaron Rodgers wants to admit it or not, was the 2020 drafting Jordan Love with the first round pick that they traded up to get him, and then your second round pick being A.J. Dillon, a running back, a position that you definitely did not need to upgrade or think about upgrading, especially when you're coming off of an NFC championship game, whether that was close or not.
Right.
If you just gave Rodgers and the Packers a couple more tools, maybe it would have been a different NFC championship game, because look what happened with Kevin King. Kevin King got exposed. Maybe if you grab a cornerback in the 2020 draft at that first round pick, maybe we're having an entirely different discussion, and the Packers could win the division, the title last year. So, I mean, you never know. The front office has soured this relationship, and I don't think that it can be reconciled.
And front office has been bad even before this regime. Ted Thompson got stale. So this is not just like a 2-year thing. I've been saying the Packers is going to stay on Rodgers for at least 5 years, 5-6 years. So that's
I I agree with you, but please offer me your perspectives. I feel like you're in agreement with me on this, that the number one catalyst being a Jordan Love pick, but I'm curious to see what you think.
I think the Jordan Love thing definitely exacerbated it. I think the problems were already there. And then and for the record, I don't necessarily disagree with the Packers did there with drafting them, because think about the last couple of years of Aaron Rodgers' career prior to that draft. And we're not saying he's not good. He's terrific, obviously. Top 2-3 quarterback in the league. But he couldn't stay healthy, number one. So the Packers, I got to think about the future. And the last couple of years, they struggled. And then, obviously had to bounce back. What title game against San Francisco, lost that game, of course. And last year, the title game lost to Tampa Bay. So Rodgers has certainly changed the conversation for a short term in terms of like health and being healthy and whatnot. But you can't blame the Packers for at least trying to figure out their future. That's their job, But that being said, yeah, did the Jordan Love pick maybe motivate Rodgers and maybe exacerbate the issues? Yeah, I'm sure it did. But both sides here in terms of the Jordan Love situation are correct. But the Packers have had a long-term issue of not building properly around Rodgers anyway, and not asking his input either in the process.
Again, I can't disagree with anything you said, but the fact of the matter is that we're not talking about some mid-level quarterback, mid-tier. We're not talking about any guy like that. We're talking about who you just said. I'm taking words out of your mouth. We're talking about the most talented quarterback you've ever seen play the game. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. So the fact that you feel like moving on from him by trading up for a first-round project quarterback pick, that wouldn't sit well with me. And to not even give the guy a heads up, where we've heard many cases of even Kirk Cousins. I think if you can back me up on that, they came up to Kirk Cousins and said, we're going to draft Kellen Mond with our 4th-round pick. Maybe you can back me up on that if that's true or not.
I'm not sure that actually happened, but then again, even if that happened, I mean, it's Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, come on.
My point is, though, listen, you're right, but my point is, though, is that if you have a franchise quarterback and whether it be a contract dispute or him getting up in age, you have to give your franchise quarterback at least a little bit of a heads up, saying, hey, we're going to take this guy. We just want to give you the respect you deserve by letting you know we're going to draft this guy.
Yeah.
At least giving him that respect, if you can agree with me on that, for sure.
What you said, that's bad. But what you just said, they're the optic for bad, and you're correct on that one.
For sure. And that's my whole point, is if you look at it from Aaron Rodgers' perspective, and you're absolutely right, and I can't disagree with what you were saying, where the relationship wasn't that good up into the Jordan Love pick. I feel like it definitely made it even worse by drafting the guy and not even letting your franchise quarterback for 15 years up to that point, not even giving him a heads up that you're even looking in that direction.